Let's now take a closer look, specifically at the front page of today's Capital Gazette. And the opinion page, it's usually full. It was left blank, listing the names of the victims, saying today we're speechless. Tomorrow, this page will return to its steady purpose of offering our readers informed opinion about the world around them, that they might be better citizens.
It's a newspaper that's been around in some form before America was born, and it is true to the journalistic tradition, there to inform people. The Capital Gazette. Just
think about this. The local news business has been going away for the last decade at least. And here's one organization that has been preserved, honored in that area, and now rocked.
The former executive editor, Capital Gazette's former executive editor, Tom Marquardt, joins us now. Tom, thank you for joining us. We are sorry for the loss of those colleagues from your former news organization. What are your thoughts right now? Everybody in the newsroom obviously is shaken about how what happened. What do you know of how they're handling things?
I'm sure they're handling it professionally like any journalist would. Frankly, I have not been in contact with any of the reporters who are currently there, so I don't know firsthand information on how they're adjusting, but I know many of the people who are there are truly professionals, and the fact that they got through today's edition through their grief and everything else that is happening around them speaks to their professionalism, and quite honestly, I'm very proud of what they're doing.
Can you give us some background on what the suspect's issue is with the paper? Because there's a lot of stories that are kind of swirling out there.
Right. I mean, it stems from a story that was written by a court reporter who was covering the beat like any other day and came across a story that intrigued him. And it was something that he felt would resonate with our readers about a woman who was harassed and stalked by somebody who eventually was found guilty of that crime. And so the story ran. Obviously, Mr. Ramos was not happy with the publicity that it garnered at the time. He established a web page in which he would often post his rantings and his complaints against the Capitol. Eventually, he filed a defamation lawsuit, which over time he lost. He gamed the system. He represented himself as his own attorney and was able to work through all the loopholes and all the appeals process to prolong this lawsuit against us. But in the end, he lost. During this whole time, unlike most plaintiffs who bring cases against newspapers, he continued to post on his website really negative comments, often profanity-ridden, that were vague threats against our lives and our reputation.
We were, talking yesterday as this was going on with people who are familiar with that newsroom, and they were saying it's just an unusual thing. They were saying it's vulnerable. It's not hardened. We don't often think of newsrooms as hardened. Has there been any thought to security drills or this kind of thing in the past, or is this just not a newspaper that's really thought about that? Because why would you?
Have to.
Well, we didn't have to until this happened. Quite frankly, the threat against me was that he wished I would die. And certainly at some point like that, there is no question in my mind that it's a physical threat. So when that happened, yes, I took a photo of Mr. Ramos, who I'd never met, brought it to the front desk and said, be on a lookout for this guy, and if he comes in, dial 911. I made sure everybody on my staff knew that that we had this complaint. So his face was familiar to all of us. And did we think anything would happen? No, but it was precaution that for the first time we had taken. We even established a gate. This was in a different building than where this happened. Yeah. We even put a gate up front that would prevent people from sort of walking back because it was a very open building in which people were coming and going, and we wanted that. I mean, that was what we prided ourselves in, that we were available to anybody who could come in, but never anticipating something like this.
Social media, though, has also made us even more available. So while you had this experience, while you printed a picture and gave it to the front desk, it seems odd, but lots of us, especially in the world of journalism, especially at a time when of great divisiveness, we sort of get the trolling and the threats all the time. Being able to decipher what's petty real noise and an actual threat, that's a huge challenge.
I disagree. This one was not a challenge. The challenges came when you received death threats that came from anonymous people, and most of them were dismissed. This one came from somebody who put his name to it, And if you look at some of his postings, to me, it made me feel uncomfortable enough to go to the police and ask for an investigation. So we all felt threatened there, and we're all concerned about it. But there was very little else we could do except be aware.
You know, in criminal cases, in criminal coverage, lawyers go through this, judges go through this, journalists go through this. People who are covered are often not happy with the way it goes. Does this change how you think about how we should cover things and in terms of how we should be securing our newsrooms, or do you think this is one-off and unusual?
You know, the mission doesn't change. You know, our job is to go out there and report no matter what the threat, no matter what the repercussions, no matter what the consequences. That mission does not change and never will. It certainly won't change for the reporters of the Capitol today. But I think, you know, we all have to be aware of our surroundings. But you have to understand this is a small newspaper, now 55 people strong. It's not like a metropolitan newspaper in which you can go in today and you'll face all sorts of security guards. I mean, it's sort of impractical to have a security guard standing in front of 55 people.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Tom, thanks for joining us and giving us some context on this. Tom Marquardt was the former executive editor of the Capital Gazette. Hey, MSNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there and click on any of the videos here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. You can get more MSNBC for free every day with our newsletters. Just visit msnbc.com/newsletters to sign up now.